Hi everyone, this is Adam. Uh, Welcome to something in between a couple of episodes of Making Luck, a Dominion podcast. Wandering Winter's not here right now. There's been a couple of scheduling difficulties we had. We both kind of had some things going on, and then the time we had set aside for recording the next episode of the podcast, I had internet issues and couldn't do it. So it was an amazing time. It's been so great. Um, and I just want you all to know that we didn't forget about the podcast. We're not going to stop doing it, but last weekend we weren't able to record an episode. Lexi has been really busy with her squeaky toy, and it may be like a whole nother week before we can get to a full real episode. But they are coming. We haven't forgotten, and I wanted to at least make this to have there be some content. So what am I going to talk about by myself without Wandering Winder? Well, sadness because I miss my bro. But anyway, I over the list of topics that we have come up with that we kind of want to do for the podcast, one of them I had was an episode on Hermit-Market Square. And the reason that we haven't and are not really going to do an episode on that is because um, I've done a lot of research and practice with this combo, and Wandering Winter kind of hasn't, and um, kind of felt like it would be a one-sided conversation, and so I wrote an article instead, and I've actually published this article. I know, Lexi, yes, I have. I know. It's really exciting. I think it's a pretty good article. I published the article. Now, you may be asking me, but Adam, where did you publish it? I didn't see it on the Dominion Strategy blog or in the forums. Yeah, well, I didn't publish it there. Um, yeah, I didn't, and no one's bothered to link it. Anyway, I put it on Reddit. In the process, I learned that Reddit really isn't the best place in the world to be posting articles because um, I want the article to remain relevant 2 days after I post it, and that's not what Reddit is for. But I said I was only going to post it on Reddit, and whatever, you can still link to it. So it's going to be on Reddit, and maybe you can link to it. But anyway, if you want to find the article, I recommend you go to the Dominion subreddit. It's reddit.com/r/Dominion, or you can just search for it on Reddit. It's not terribly hard to find, and it's called Hermit-Market Square Revisited. Um, and I think it's pretty good. I mean, it'll be there for a while, and this is another thing that I want to do. I kind of want to find some place to put show notes, so I could just like put a link there and say, hey, go check out the notes for this episode, and have that all be in one place. So anyway, if you're watching this on YouTube, yeah, it'll be in the comments. I'll link to the article. I'll link to the article in a lot of places. But anyway, that's how you can find it. And I kind of wanted to go over a couple of the topics in the article. Just go over briefly. We'll still be doing the same Kingdom of the Week, or the same kingdom that we were ending the last episode with. We'll still be talking about that one next time. I'm not going to introduce something new here without my bro. But anyway, let's talk about Hermit-Market Square for a little bit while we're here, yeah? So I don't know if you've never heard of Hermit-Market Square. It's a really powerful combo, and the reason it's so powerful is because it's so fast. The idea is you get a whole bunch of hermits, you change a lot of them into madmen, you get a whole bunch of market squares, and then you have this big turn, right? On the big turn, you start off with playing 2 or 3 madmen, and you draw most of or all of your deck. You then play a hermit, trashing something and triggering a billion market squares, gaining a bunch of gold. You play a madman, you draw all of the market squares and all the golds, and then you can repeat the whole hermit, trash a thing, reveal market squares, play madman to draw a thing, as many times as you have hermits and madmen to repeat the process. And at the end of it, you play your market squares for buys, and you have a billion golds in your hand, and then you buy a whole bunch of stuff. It's super great. That's the idea, and what you want to do is get your deck to the point where you're ready for such a turn. So you need X hermits, and you need X plus 2 or X plus 3 madmen. So X really needs to be 1 or 2. You can have X be more. X is the number of times you hermit, trash a thing, reveal the market squares, and madman draw up. You can have X be more, but it's like not actually practical. So X really should be 1 or 2. So it's 1 or 2 hermits, and then 3, 4, or 5 madmen, and there needs to be that balance, right? You want 2 or 3 madmen to draw your deck, depending on how many cards are in it, and how many you can actually afford to spend for that purpose, which is usually the deciding factor. And then you have a couple extra hermit madman pairs, and then you can have your big turn. And you want as many market squares as you can get your hands on, um, without like putting the piles in super danger for whatever reason, if that's a concern you have. There's really no need to trash your starting coppers. There's like just no. It's not worth the effort, right? I mean, if you could do it for free, I guess maybe, but not really. And you'll also need to be careful to make sure you've got something in your deck that your first hermit can trash. Because if you've got 2 hermits, your first one can just gain something like curse or estate for your next hermits to trash. But you're going to need something to kick it off. Now, one of your market squares will work in a pinch, but I mean that's kind of sad. I mean, you don't really want to go trashing one of your market squares for that purpose. It feels pretty bad, and you're giving up a lot of payload to do that. So the way you get your deck to this point fastest is first you pile the hermits. You pile the hermits until they're either gone or you have 7 of them. 7's usually enough to get your X equals 2, and then you have 2 hermits and 5 madmen, which is kind of the biggest you ever want to build. So you just go directly for hermits, get as many as you can as quick as you can. At that point, what you want to do is you want to be turning your hermits into madmen. That's your top priority. But then with your hermit gains, as you're playing the hermits, you can gain lots of market squares. So like if you're ever faced with the choice between, I can either get a madman or buy a market square. Well, of course you get the madman. But other than that, you just want to be getting a whole bunch of market squares. So that's the high level version of it. This is one of the few decks in Dominion that I've actually had to practice playing in order to get it right. The thing that got me most of the time was I went for market squares before I ever bothered with madmen, and that just slows the thing down so much. Yeah, if you're not contested, your opponent actually has time to do something. And if you are contested, well, then your opponent can just win the game before you can accomplish anything. So it's very important to start getting madmen really as early as possible in this case. And as early as possible means don't give up hermits for it, but other than that, get your madmen. So this combo is so fast, like you can really kick off a pretty good turn. You can get a decent turn on turn 12 really reliably, and you can get a really, really good turn on 14 or 15, or if you build up a little longer, which you really shouldn't, you can just empty the provinces on turn 16 if your opponent's just doing absolutely nothing. So that's pretty good. And because of that, because of how fast it is and how flexible the combo is, you're usually going to be mirrored. And the thing is, since you're going for hermits right away, since you're not really buying anything on a lot of turns to get madmen, you're going to find yourself struggling to find interaction with the rest of the kingdom if that stuff costs 4 or more. Basically, if your hermit can't gain the stuff, it's really hard to incorporate it into a strategy involving this. So if you're mirrored, you want to win the hermit split. You're in a lot better shape with 5 hermits than you are with 4 hermits, and then also 6 rather than 5. So it's a big deal. You don't want to lose the hermit split. You'd like to try and win the hermit split to deny things to your opponent. There's also a few various types of support cards. I mean, obviously, you can most of the time ignore things if they cost less than 3, but if you're looking at $4, you magically have somehow. Wondering what the type of things that you're looking for here. So let's just talk about what interacts with this stuff. Are there any counters to the deck? Well, junking attacks, certainly it doesn't matter, right? I mean, hermits can just trash the junk. You never even have to draw it. What about discard attacks? Discard attacks are annoying for this, right? Because they make your madmen worse. But really, you just need to build and get 1 extra madman. And there's actually only 1 discard attack that can be hermit gained. That's Urchin. And I mean, it's just not worth it, right? I mean, I'd rather have a market square than an Urchin. If you can just get one extra madman, you're going to draw pretty much the same amount of cards for practical purposes. Now, your chances on your big turn of stalling and having everything go to crap get a little higher, so you have to play it a little safer. But the discard attacks, really, Hermit-Market Square can just shrug them off. What about trashing attacks? Well, all the trashing attacks except for Swindler cost too much to be relevant. If your opponent's just going to go for them, then get more redundancy. I mean, that's sort of how you play around trashing attacks in general. Hermit-Market Square, Hermit being a gainer, doesn't really mind all that much. On the other hand, with Swindler, Swindler can be a big deal because it's always a big deal. If Swindler hits your Madman, turns it into a curse, you're really sad about that. So like if you're in a mirror and things aren't going well, or if you feel like you need to get lucky in order to make something happen, then yeah, you might as well get a Swindler and see if you can make something good happen with it. All that being said, there's really only one counter to this thing, and that would be possession. If someone possesses me and I've got Madman in my deck, he can spend my Madman and really halt my build. He can't steal the Megaturn from me, but because you can't really redraw the golds that you gain on market squares if you're possessing someone, but you can spend the Madman. So if they can get up to possession quickly, so like maybe some strong trashing and just play possession every turn, that's something that can counter Hermit-Market Square. And that's really the only reason I could think of that you wouldn't want to go for it. So yeah, possession. What about some positive interaction? There's two big ones. They are Scheme and Alms. Scheme has the Hermit Scheme interaction. That means you can play a Hermit, not buy anything, and if you have a Scheme in play, you can top deck that Hermit, so you can gain a Madman without trashing your Hermit. What this means is that the Hermit split's not nearly as important as it used to be, because you're not really limited on Hermits to get Madmen, right? You can kind of generate Madmen, in a sense. Also, it means you can start getting Madmen a little bit earlier, because you're not necessarily pounding the Hermits until they're gone, right? So because the Hermit split isn't the most important thing ever, you have the freedom to start getting Madmen a little earlier, and it can actually speed you up that way. So Scheme is it's a big deal. And the other one was Alms. Alms makes it so you can actually gain something and still get a Madman. And it also kind of gives you access to other support in the kingdom that costs $4. Instead of being limited by what Hermit can gain, you can Alms things, and that's pretty good. The other big piece of interaction that I find most common is other trashing. So like a lot of times if you just lose the Hermit split, you're not totally screwed if there's other trashing in the kingdom. Now the best things are the things that Hermit can gain, right? And especially the ones that can trash coppers, because then you don't have to keep extra junks around for him to trash. But if you're just short on Hermits, I mean, on your mega turn, the things you use to trigger your market squares, like they don't have to be Hermits. If there's some other trasher and the Hermits are in short supply, which they are most of the time, then you can use other trashers to kind of substitute, turn more of your Hermits into Madmen, and you can still make your big turn work. So that's pretty good. And the big stars of the show here are the ones that can give you like a plus buy along with it. So Trade Route and Forager. Those are the big ones. It doesn't really matter if they're terminal, but they can substitute for Hermits in your big turns. And yes, Trade Route. It's pretty good, and in that same vein, plus buy and gainers, a lot of times when you're mirrored, the game is going to end like this. You pile the Hermits, you pile the market squares, and then the first guy that has his big turn will pile the estates and then win the game. Now, if you don't get enough market squares to do that, and they're gone, then you're really looking for other sources of plus buy, other things that can gain you estates, so you can empty the pile. And Hermit does that too, right? So you have to factor that into the math. So that's another reason why Trade Route and Forager are pretty good for this. Past that, the other support in the kingdom you're looking for is just anything that a Hermit can gain that might be better than like that last estate you need to keep. So like an Urchin here would be kind of nice. you play it once, maybe it hurts your opponent, and then you can trash it instead of in a state. Like that's that's basically it. It's not really that much better. So like how are you looking to play? Like in the mirror, you have to pay really close attention to what your opponent's doing. You want to try and go off first and win the game on estates. If you can't do that, if that's not possible, then you want to go off first and either, depending on how in bad shape you think you are, you can either make a big dent in the estates or maybe like buy a couple of estates before you go off, or you can just get some provinces and hope to win that way. The nice thing about this Hermit-Market Square thing is after you have your big turn, if you can't end the game on that turn, your deck is actually pretty good. It's got like a whole bunch of golds in it and some market squares. That's like actually a really good deck. So most of the time, yes, you can end the game when you go off, and usually you can calculate pretty close to what your payload's going to be and have a good idea of what that's going to look like and when you can do it in order to win. But if you can't win, or if you want to go off now, go for it. Like you can actually have a really good turn, and the combo's flexible enough, which is why it's so stinking good. So I think I've rambled on long enough. This is going to be kind of a half episode. We're really hoping that we can get together and form like an actual podcast together sometime soon. We've got topics lined up. It's just a matter of us getting together, getting the time to actually record the episodes, and things are just a little cray right now in both of our lives. So had a little bit of time. Thought I would check in, make sure everyone was still with us. We plan to keep doing this for a while, just trying to find a rhythm and get into a good time to record on a semi-regular basis. As always, comments, questions, complaints, all that stuff is welcome. We certainly like hearing from you guys, and hopefully there's going to be one standard way that we can like interact with you guys that's somewhat official. I guess I'm going to work on that now, and when that happens, we'll certainly mention in the audio of the episodes, and we'll be linking to it from as many places as we can stand to do so. Anyway, that's about all I got. Thanks for listening, and hopefully you come back, and hopefully you give us lots of feedback and any questions you've got. If there's more detail you want to read about Hermit-Market Square, absolutely read the article. I mean, I kind of just skimmed over it, and there's a lot of detail in that article that even if you know nothing about the combo, or if you feel like you know a lot, hopefully you'll be able to take something away from it. And that's it. So bye.